तो આપણે હવે ટેકનિકલ ટીમની પરમિશન સાથે આ કાર્યક્રમની શરૂઆત કરવા જઈ રહ્યા છીએ. લેક્ચર સિરીઝના આજના ત્રીજા મુકામ તરફ જઈ રહ્યા છીએ. એ લેક્ચર સિરીઝ ફેકલ્ટી સ્ટાફ, યુનિવર્સિટી સ્ટાફ અને તમામ વિદ્યાશાખાઓના હેડથી લઈ અને ક્લેરિકલ ટીચિંગ, નોન ટીચિંગ સ્ટાફ અને સ્ટુડન્ટ માટે પણ એટલી જ પ્રેરણારૂપ છે કે જેટલી પ્રેરણારૂપ યુનિવર્સિટીના તમામ સ્ટાફ માટે છે. ગોકુલ જ્ઞાન સેતુના આજના ત્રીજા લેક્ચરના આપણા ગેસ્ટ સ્પીકર, આપણા આજના વક્તા આપણી સાથે જોડાઈ ચૂક્યા છે, ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી. એમનો વિસ્તૃત પરિચય આપણે કાર્યક્રમના નેક્સ્ટ સ્ટેજ ઉપર લેતા રહીશું. હું અત્યારે આ કાર્યક્રમને શરૂઆત જ્યારે આપણે કરવા જઈ રહ્યા છીએ ત્યારે આપણા સૌના વતી ઓનરેબલ પ્રોવોસ્ટ સરને રિક્વેસ્ટ કરી કે તેઓ આપણા સૌના વતી ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી સરને વેલકમ કરે. રિક્વેસ્ટિંગ ડૉક્ટર વેદવ્યાસ ત્રિવેદી સર ટુ વેલકમ ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી સર.
गोकुल ग्लोबल यूनिवर्सिटी सिद्धपुर जिला पाटन गुजरात भारतवर्ष और सभी स्टाफ मेंबर्स, ट्रस्टीगण, गोकुल फाउंडेशन, हमारे विद्यार्थियों और पूरे गोकुल परिवार की तरफ से नाम ही जिसका है जोश भर देने वाला संकेत जोशी जी, आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपका हम स्वागत करते हैं एंड वी होप दैट सून वी विल बी इन पर्सन मीटिंग हियर टू लिसन टू यू, टू सी एंड टू गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ योर एक्सपीरियंस, योर नॉलेज एंड योर ह्यूमैनिटी. माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, द इंट्रोडक्शन हैज़ ऑलरेडी बीन गिवन टू यू इन डिटेल बिफोर वी स्टार्टेड दिस सेशन. सर, आपके जस्ट अपडेट के लिए पूरी गोकुल ग्लोबल यूनिवर्सिटी इस समय इस ऑडिटोरियम में मौजूद है एंड बहुत सारे लोग इस समय अपने अपने काम में व्यस्त हैं, लेकिन ऑडिटोरियम में जितने भी नॉलेज सीकर्स हैं दे ऑल आर ओवर हियर एंड वी आर वेरी मच प्लीज्ड एंड ऑनर्ड एंड प्रिविलेज्ड टू सी यू सर ऑनलाइन. काइंडली ब्लेस अस एंड शावर योर blessings upon us through your knowledge. Thank you so much. I welcome you formally. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Honorable Provost Dr. Vedvyas Trivedi sir. આજના વક્તાને તમારી સમક્ષ જ્યારે અમને હું માઇક સોંપું અને એના સેશનને આપણે શરૂઆત કરીએ તે પહેલાં એમના વિષયના સૌથી મહત્ત્વની બાબત જ્યારે મને જ્યારે સર સાથે કોન્ટેક્ટ થયો અને ત્યારબાદ એમના સાથે વાતચીત કરીને લાગી કે શિક્ષણ હંમેશા વ્યક્તિત્વના વિકાસનું એક બહુ મહત્ત્વનું પાસું હોય છે. જ્યારે ભારત છોડ્યા પછી પોતાના દેશ, પોતાની માતૃભૂમિ, પોતાની જન્મભૂમિ માટે અને શિક્ષણ પ્રેમી લોકો માટે પોતાની રજાના દિવસો પોતાના દેશ માટે સોંપવા, પોતાની રજાના દિવસોના કલાકો દેશના યુવાનો, શિક્ષણવિદો અને યુનિવર્સિટીના સ્ટુડન્ટો માટે સોંપવા એ બહુ મોટી બાબત છે. ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી જોડે મને જેટલી પણ વાર વાત કરવાનો મોકો મળ્યો એ તમામ વાતોમાંથી હું કંઈક નવું શીખ્યો છું. મને આશા છે કે આજના સેશન બાદ તમારો પણ આ એક પ્રતિભાવ રહેશે. ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી, સો આઈ જસ્ટ બ્રીફ હિઝ ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શન વિથ યુ ગાઈઝ. He is the Deputy Director, Oil and Gas Research Center and Application Specialist, Oil and Gas Science in Oman. Also, he holds BSc and MSc degree from Sardar Patel University, India, and PhD degree from NS University, Baroda. He have so many work done in his research work. So, તમને જ્યારે બ્રીફ એમનો બાયોડેટા મળેલો ત્યારે તમને આ બધી જ માહિતી છે. પણ ઇન શોર્ટ, ભારતની શિક્ષણ વ્યવસ્થામાંથી તૈયાર થયેલ એક એવું વ્યક્તિત્વ કે જેણે ઓમાન જેવા યુએઈના દેશમાં પણ પોતાની શિક્ષણ પ્રતિભાના દર્શન કરાવેલા છે. હું આપ સૌને રિક્વેસ્ટ કરીશ કે ગ્લોબલ યુનિવર્સિટી વતી આપ સૌ તાળીના ગડગડાટથી આજના આપણા વક્તા શ્રી ડૉક્ટર શ્રી જોશીને આવકારો. અને હવે પછીના શબ્દો હશે ડૉક્ટર સંકેત જોશી. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So please stop me whenever doing the presentation also if you can't hear me or if you can't see certain things. So please stop me and just let me know if things are not going as per the plan. So I would like to thank His Excellency Dr. Dwivedi, Local Global Society, Local Global University team and other friends there for giving me the opportunity to share some of the things what I will be presenting today. So basically today's session is not about the science or the work we are doing here, but it's another way relevant to how to present this work and how to prepare presentations, because we will be using it more often now during this coronavirus mess and everything. So without much further ado, I will start sharing my screen. Can you see the screen?
No, sir.
Maybe it will take some time. Yeah. It says your screen sharing. Maybe in 2 minutes you will start seeing it. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will start the presentation. So please, as I said before, you stop me wherever you need or if you can't see things properly. So today's talk will be on how to prepare and give scientific presentations using Microsoft PowerPoint as a data presentation tool. So again, once again, I would like to thank the management team for giving me the opportunity to share some of the things which I will be sharing with you today. So what we will be learning today, basically we will learn the role of MS PowerPoint in data presentation and research articles, how to use it for data presentation, some basic tips and tricks, advantages and disadvantages of such presentation softwares, and many more. So this is just a brief. Why presentation is going like this. Somebody else is having access to my slide or how is it? Hello? Hello? I don't know what happened, suddenly now it's like anyway. Can you see the first slide now again?
We don't have any access of anybody.
Okay, so can you see the first slide now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go to the next slide. Sorry for the confusion. So this is regarding the things what we will be learning today. So before we go into the details brief about me. So basically I started from nowhere. I'm a Gujarati medium student and I managed to publish research work, more than 100 papers now in some of the well-known journals. I presented work in several countries, joined the editorial board of many journals and received grants for more than $4 million now, and you can see some of the publications from my research groups on the left-hand side. These are some of the very good journals. So publication is one of the important things when you are into academics and everything, and you need to do it. While I am showing this slide and some background information is basically not to show off about what we did and everything, but rather to show that if someone like me who managed to come so far, then I'm quite certain that with hard work and perseverance and having exposures like such opportunities and everything, you students can surely do better than me and maybe more than many others around you also. So it's just a matter of hard work and everything, and then we can do better than where we are right now. So I would like to give one slide to give you an idea of the place where I'm working with and where I'm working in which part of the world. So, as it said from the beginning, I am from Muscat. You can see this map. So this is the country, Oman, and the capital is Muscat. It's very near Gujarat actually. So during ancient times, Gujarati businessmen used to come to Muscat and they used to do business and everything here. So Gujarat and India has long relations with this country. So this university was effort of visionary late this dynasty, Sultan Qaboos. So when he came to the power, he started idea of having a university here in Oman. And so in 1980, this university was the vision. And then by 1986, around 500 students enrolled into this university. So it's comparatively a younger university, in fact much younger than me. And so now we have College of Science, College of Engineering for all sorts of engineering part. Then we have College of Nursing, College of Medicine, Agriculture and Marine Sciences, Accounts, Arts, Commerce, so many different research centers and many more. And we have one of the biggest hospital here in Oman also. So these are some of the things which we are having under the umbrella, and you can see some of the aerial images of the university. So it's a proud moment for our university that even we are younger than 40 years or something. This university is into top 500 universities all over the world, and our rank by QS Global World Ranking is 375, and we are hoping to climb the ladder in coming few years or more. So this rank is basically with respect to our efforts of all the faculties and researchers and publications and getting grants and everything. So this is to give you a brief idea of the university. So before we start with this question, I would like to share with you one saying from our beloved Mahatma Gandhi. He used to say that live as if you were to die tomorrow, and love as if you were to live forever. So learning is a continuous process, as he rightly said. So we have to keep on updating our knowledge, we have to keep on learning new things. So with this, I will start discussing things about today's session. So let's get a brief history of different aids which are used for presentations. As you can see, 75% of what we know comes to us visually. With a purpose, clear purpose in mind, it should be concise and everything. So if we see things here clearly, then we tend to remember it better. So on the left hand side, you can see some of the projected visuals. So some of this presentation aids, some of you might have seen, some of you might have not seen. This generation, they are normally seeing this computer image projection, but I studied with overhead projection. Before we used to have slides, we had sound slides, then we had multi-image presentation, film strips, and so many other things. So these are different ways by which you can present your data properly. which I would like to share with you. One was the saying by Sir George Jessel. So he said, which happens with most of us, the human brain starts working the moment you are born, and it never stops until you stand up to speak in public. So public speaking or giving a speech in front of a wider audience is a big problem, and which most of us have gone through or still are going through. So how to come out of this fear? You need to come out of this fear. So well-known personality, Sir Richard Branson, is the owner of Virgin Atlantic and many other businesses. He said that picture yourself in a living room having a chat with your friends. So you will be relaxed and comfortable talking to them. The same applies in public speaking. Don't feel or don't think that you are going to talk with some unknown people or you are with some obligations or something. Rather, you try to feel comfortable when you are speaking with public speakers or anything else. So if you learn those things, then you will not have phobia or fear of speaking. So where this is applicable, and where is it relevant? Something keeps on popping on the screen. Are you also seeing it? Some messages are coming.
Yes, sir.
Why it is coming? And never mind, it's restricted. So it's okay. Where do we use such presentations or skills? Where do we need these skills or something? So as you can see in the picture, it's relevant to science and technology, education, management, all this front. And it's related to all fields of education and research. It's like engineering and technology, it's endless. Nanotechnology, industrial market, environmental engineering, material science and engineering, humanities, and then you need to use it for agriculture sciences, then social sciences, medical, natural sciences, everywhere. So all facets of education and research and everything, you will need such skills where you have to use it for presentation of your data. So what options do we have? So the options we have with us are three different options based on what computer or what software system you are using. So you can have either PowerPoint, that's Microsoft PowerPoint 2016. So even though the presentation I will be mainly talking about PowerPoint, but it's more or less relevant to any platform, whichever platform you are using for giving your presentations. So if you have Microsoft system or Windows system, most of us will be using Microsoft PowerPoint. Like I have given an example of 2016. This is the software which I am using for sharing and preparing this work. You can have Google Slides. If you are using Chromebook or something, you will have option of Google Slides or online platform. You may have Apple Keynote. If you are using Apple software, you will have something similar given by Apple. So these are three of the most popular presentation software packages which are available in the market. So the discussion that we will be having today is relevant to either of those three. If you are from US or European continent, you might be having more of Apple or software relevant to Keynote. But more or less in Asia and most of the places, Microsoft or Windows is more user friendly and most of the people are using it. So I will be giving some tips mainly about Microsoft PowerPoint. So as I said, this pop-up keeps on coming. Okay. So where do we use or need such presentation software? So with the kind of audience I have today with me, so some of you are researchers. So as a researcher, you have data. You need to write manuscripts. You need to prepare posters. You need to prepare figures for the manuscript. So you need to present research findings to the audience, conferences, defending your thesis. You need to give seminars, you need to give webinars, classroom teaching, etc. So these are all the places or the occasions where you need to use such presentation software. And you have to go through this and you have to prepare your teaching manuals also. Basically, more specifically, we need such software tools during current COVID-19 pandemic, such as online meetings, online presentations, such as this one, or online teachings. Most of the teaching is online now. So we are partly shifting from books to digital version. So we need to learn. Even you learned it before, we need to learn it now. So some of the tips which we will be sharing here in this presentation is relevant to the work what you are doing in your normal presentation also, as well as You will be using it for your classroom teaching, presentations and preparations also. So these are equally relevant to any of those techniques. So what I have shown here is a ribbon menu. It's known as a ribbon menu because when you open the Microsoft PowerPoint, this is what you will see on top of your head. It will have options of file, home, insert, design, transitions, animations. You can have slideshow, different designs, and then you can insert different things. So how you can start preparing? So most of us, we know this basic. Like we can bring the data from Word, Excel, PowerPoint slides, from other sources, PDF, audio, video file, or any other sources by simple way, such as you can do copy paste. That's Control C and Control V, which most of the students are normally doing. Or else you can prepare it here on the slide using the command insert, so which I have opened here. So these are the options you will have when you have insert command open. So you can insert as many things as you want from here, from the ribbon menu.
Sorry.
Yeah, because I stopped it now. So I stopped sharing the screen because I don't know where did I missed. Can you see this now?
Yes.
So have you seen this previous slide or where there was some issue? Where did it stop? This you see. Yeah. So this was finished. Okay, so I will try to do the next one. Yeah, such glitches keeps on happening during this presentations and everything. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So what I was trying to show here in this slide, that how to prepare our figures using PowerPoint for your manuscripts. So in this, you can see that like I have shown 3 phases. If you have a microbial product and if you want to go to the application market, you have to pass through several phases like phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. So here, this slide shows the figure when we are producing microbial products and if you want to apply for oil field applications or in the petroleum industry. So you have to do laboratory studies, then you need to go for field application, then you have to produce into bioreactors from 100 liter to 100,000 liter, then you go to the field and if it is successful in pilot application, then you go for final application, which is in the full field application. So this is the way by which you can make figures and this is what you can directly apply and use it into your manuscripts. So for your papers, you can use Microsoft PowerPoint as a software to prepare your figures and images. So I'll give you some basic rules. These are not rules actually, but generally accepted what you should do and what you should not do while preparing your presentations. Especially while using presentations for conferences or seminars or something. So let's look at what you should do. So you should use a big enough font, minimum of 18 to 20 points. Like your presentation slide should be visible from small distance or people who are farther. Like especially this becomes a problem when you are giving lecture into conference halls or somewhere. So it should not get distorted. So you should try to use at least 18 to 20 size fonts. Then don't make it so small that your audiences can't read it. Of course, they don't have to read your slides. They have to listen to you, what you are telling them and everything. But at the same time, you don't have to make it too small so that audiences will find it difficult to read. Then you need to keep background simple. Most of the time, during bachelor's or master's presentations or something, most of the students, including me when I was a student, we used to make complicated background. You don't need to have a complicated background. Try to make it as simple as possible. Then, at the same time, don't use a fuzzy background image. Sometimes we download images from internet or our own photos or something, and we try to stretch it. So when you stretch the image, it becomes fuzzy. Fuzzy images which are in the backgrounds, they are not good. It doesn't give a professional look. So don't use a fuzzy background images. Try to use a clear image. You do use animations. you should use some animations to explain your things properly. Animations do help. But at the same time, if you are going for a conference or some presentations where the system is not supporting animations, then it might get messed up. But at the same time, don't overdo the animation. It may get distracting. Like you are not, again, it depends on the kind of presentation. If you are into artificial intelligence or some audio visual, then you may need to show some animation. But otherwise, for scientific presentations, don't go for so much of animation. It might get distracting. So avoid clutter. Clutter is enemy of clarity. Don't have things unorganized. You should stick to 3 to 5 bullet points per slide at the most, depending on the kind of presentation. Don't have 10, 15, 20 bullets and so many things all in the same slide. And at the same time, don't use endless slides or bulleted points. They all look the same. So you need to be selective what data you are showing on your slides and everything. So less is more. Nearly 20 to 25 slides are sufficient for 40 minutes to 1 hour presentation. You don't need to have 60 slides or 70 slides, and then you will be just passing on enter. So 20, 30 slides are more than sufficient, normally. Then don't forget to cite references if it's a scientific presentation. Or don't forget to acknowledge any source of material used. Like we won't like if somebody will take our data or our images or something and go and show it on their own name. So same way, we should always acknowledge any source or the material used. And it's quite embarrassing, especially when you go for international presentations. You may be showing something, and then one of the guys, it's his work or her work, and they are sitting in the audience, and they will come to know that you are just taking their data, presenting as your own, without giving them proper recognition. So it's not good. You should never take any mistake. If you are into stealing in science and research education, so always check your spellings. This is another issue. Sometimes we are in a rush, and we don't cross-check. So something which is misspelled won't look good on a bigger platform. Don't use awkward or unique fonts. Sometimes when you're using some fonts which are quite unique, it might look good or it might work on your software or on your laptop or something. But when you go for a presentation somewhere else, they may not have this font in their system. So it will look quite awkward again. So don't go for unique fonts. Stick to simple, well-known, widely used fonts. Always do make things visual. What is that? Wherever possible, show images. Don't write in points or something. And then you try to explain the matter rather than just simply speaking. And at the same time, don't overdo or use complex images. Some of those points you will see in coming slides. I have given some scientific presentations and examples where some of those things are not done properly and how it should be done. So, rule of thumb for fonts is 28 to 40 points for headlines. Again, it's not always sure. You need to modify based on your presentation or your likings. And 18 to 28 for normal text and 12 to 14 for references. So these are some basic rules which are not rule of stone, but you need to modify according to your presentation. So I would like to give one bonus tip based on the experience. Always keep more than one source of PowerPoint slides or file with you in a USB, in a thumb drive, in a computer, on your email, wherever possible. More the merrier. You can have more than one. Why? Because you will never know when will it get corrupted or won't open. So always have a backup of your slides or presentation, especially when you are presenting to a wider audience. Or it's always better to have backup. So have more than one versions of your file with you. Send it by email to the presenter, share it with your friends, send it to your colleagues or whatever, so that you will have some backup at the time of emergency. So I will give some of the examples as I said. So this is an example of standard scientific data slide, which is the case one. We will do some case studies, how people present the work. So this is the work which somebody is showing about the issue of plastic pollution, which is, we all know, plastic is a big mess. When they discovered or when they invented plastic, the purpose was to have something which is durable and which can replace some other problems which we were facing issues back many years ago. But now, the durability itself is a problem. Now we come to know that plastic is so durable that it is going to stay here for almost not forever, but so many years. So some expert is showing the data. Let's say it's a student or an expert. So if you have such slide where you have 6-7 points, so how you can say? So this is very normal. The person will keep on speaking. Do you know how long it takes that plastic bag will start to break down? so he or she is trying to highlight the issue. Then they will say, do you fully understand the impact it has on the marine life and consequently on the health and well-being of all of us as a human? You would read all. So it says plastic waste does not biodegrade. Instead, it auto-degrades, which means that while the plastic waste does eventually break down into very small particles and chemical fragments, they never completely go away. So it stays as a microplastic. So small plastic bits are called microplastics that can accumulate in fish, bugs, and all other marine life and send toxins up the food chain. It's a circular system, ecology, impacting our dinner plate. These are for the people who are eating marine food. It is clear that marine debris is a big problem and has many negative impacts, but it is also a preventable problem that we have power to address. Please do your part to protect the environment by ensuring you correctly dispose of your waste and where possible. Find alternatives for your single-use plastic. Blah, blah, blah. So you can have many more slides there. So if somebody is speaking or somebody is trying to show this work to you, how do you find it? It's too much information in one slide and it's a plain simple information. So this is not good. Most of us we end up presenting our work like this. You have to make it interesting. So how you can show the same data in a better manner? So what you should do, remember, you have to use visuals, which creates better impact, and then people will be looking at you. So how you can do it? This is case 2. This is Environmental Society of Oman here. There is one NGO, and this is the same work what you will be speaking. So there is an image in front of you with not much data written there. It says Natural Reserve Cleanup Initiative. We are inviting people to come and clean the natural reserves. It's an endangered species. So here it shows as a timeline that normal paper bag bags less than a month to completely degrade. Then comes fruit, vegetables, then your socks, then your plastic bag, which will take around 10 to 20 years to degrade. Normal shoes, normal t-shirts, a cup which we use to drink tea, coffee, it will take 50 years and so on. And if you come here, plastics and most of the synthetic fiber bags and the plastic bottles, it will take more than 600 years. So most of us, or almost all of us, won't be here to see whether plastic is getting degraded or not for the time it takes to 600 years. So whatever we explained in the first slide, this is what you have to explain here. So there is an image in the background and audience will be looking at you and you will be explaining these things to them. So this is a better way to explain the thing. And next you can go for another issue to show that this kind of plastic pollution is affecting all of us. So it's the same slide again. It is saying something about marine debris, how it's polluting the marine resources. So fish and all the marine animals, fluoride from our ingested, then it is doing the habitat damage. These are the corals and others, and then these are the fishing nets. So it's doing the ghost fishing, turtles, sea turtles, all are getting affected by this, and it's a known native species will be caught into it, and then it will end up being on your plate. If you like seafood and if you are eating fish and all those things, most of the time the probability is quite high that you are eating microplastics also. So this is not good for health. So overall it's a circular process. So it ends up coming onto your plate. So this is the right way, or this is the better way. Nothing is right or wrong, okay? But this is the better way to show the same data rather than showing so many bulleted points on the same slide. So you can have visual images which gives a clear and better message. So this is another example. Somebody will say, Dr. Sanket said in one of the presentations, you should show images. So I have seen a nice image and I took the image. It's a clear image, it's not a hazy image. So this is another example. Scientific data slides should figure out the visuals. It's a very nice slide, it's a very nice image. It shows about the products which you get from crude oil. So in the center you have this distillation column, fractionation distillation from 85 degrees Fahrenheit to 1050 Fahrenheit, what you can get out of oil. So how is the slide? Image is clear, but it's quite complex. It is informative, but it's quite complex and difficult to understand. So it's too much visual information in one slide. It's very good and informative, but quite complicated. You will end up spending so much time either explaining these things or the audience will lose the interest. So same data, how you should show, not just a complex image, but I will give another 2 case studies. This is an example of some scientific data. This data about the same law, what you can get from crude oil and everything. But here things are clear. So in the first slide, what you are showing, you are trying to show what you can get out of a barrel of crude oil. this is one slide when you are showing what you can get from a barrel of oil. It's a simple explanation. Then you can go deeper. So what you will show here, the same thing with respect to the audience, with respect to the application. One barrel of oil can give you the wax, which is equivalent to make 170 birthday candles or 27 wax flavors. You can have 1 quart of motor oil, you can have about 4 pounds of charcoal, you can make almost petrol, which is sufficient to run your car for 280 miles. You can have diesel or heavy fuel, which is sufficient to run your trucks for 40 to 50 miles. You will have roughly 1 gallon of tar, which is used for making roads. You can generate electricity around 70 kilowatt per hour, so this is quite sufficient. You can have around 12 LPG cylinders out of 1 barrel of oil. And this is just from the main part. What else you can make from the remaining 4%? These are the things still enough left after having petrol, diesel, fuel and everything. And still you can use the 5% leftover of petrochemicals, where to use for your 540 toothbrush, plastic pocket combs, plastic cups. Then you can have it for making your phones and peripherals. Then you can have t-shirts with polyester, you can have hula-hoops, you can have toys, around 135 rubber balls, you can make 195 measuring cups, and so on. So this slide shows the exact same thing what you are seeing in the 2 slides previously, where exactly same thing was shown there. But here you are segregating the data clearly. So you are transferring the information in a manner which your audience can easily take. Or else you can directly show like this also, where oil and gas can be used in everyday life. If you don't want to go into detailed explanation how many toothbrushes you can make or how many cups you can make, you can show this simply, that oil and gas is not only used for transport, but it's useful for construction, for clothing, for accessories, for fuel station, for household applications, for cutleries and plasticware, for medical applications, for beauty and health. Most of the creams and lotions and the detergents, they have chemically derived surfactants, which are from petrochemical feedstocks, like the shampoos and everything. It contains most of the things. We are not talking about organic material, but we are talking about a normal stuff where chemicals are being used. You can use it for furniture, electronics and so on. So these are some of the ways by which you can make complex information divided into easily accessible information, which your audience can correlate with and they may be able to understand properly, rather than having so much of information in a single slide itself, which is not comfortable to eye. So you have to devise your work properly. Then this is another aspect which I never knew when I was a student. So I came to know later on after being exposed to some very good scientists and very good presenters from India, from NCCS, NCA, CCME, and then some Westerners and everybody, some professors also. I attended some of the courses which I do now also sometimes. So what do they say? They say like, don't feel shy to share some of the scientific humor. But again, it depends on the situation, platform and the type of audience. You cannot show some cartoons or some animation slides which is funny but may not be with respect to audience. So depending on the kind of audience in the situation, you may share some scientific humor. Like here in this case, there are 2 cartoons out there. On the left, it says like one couple goes to the bank, which most of us can correlate with now. And this situation is they are going to the bank, they had money, they took loan to buy SUVs. Those are the good sports utility vehicles because it was cheaper. But now, because of the current scenario and the crisis of oil, the oil prices are so high that in future when we go to the loan manager that we need a loan to fill the tank of our SUV. So it's just a humor, it's a sarcastic remark that the petrol prices or the fuel prices are increasing so high that in future this could be a possibility if we keep on relying on fossil fuels. On the right hand side, this is an image of a wonderful micro, Pseudomonas stupida. The first patent was given for this micro. So Pseudomonas stupida are well known to degrade most of the toxic compounds, crude oil and everything. So crude oil spill, we all know oil spill. Oil spill is crude oil will be spilled in the market. Like recently in Mauritius there was a tanker. It broke down and it contaminated all the seashore and everything. So oil spill is a big disaster. So this cartoon shows like Pseudomonas stupida, they are talking to each other. They are saying, I don't know what the first is all about. This stuff is delicious. The black part is oil. So it's like Pseudomonas stupida is very good at degrading oil and they are talking to each other that this stuff is good. So in a way you are trying to pass on the message that Pseudomonas stupida can help you pollution. So something similar way, sometimes you can either prepare on your own. I'm sure most of the students who are now, they are quite good at animations and many things, and they can make better images and everything. So if, depending on the situation or something, you may use some of this kind of cartoons. Like in a teaching, sometimes I use some of these cartoons. I go to some presentations in some Western countries, there also I end up using some of the scientific relevant humors and everything, which we can do. So this slide is a combination of 10 years of work. So what I am showing you here, like in this slide, we are showing 10 years of 3 phases of work, what we did for our enhanced oil recovery work using microbial research. So when you are presenting the data in a conference or the places where you don't have too much time to show so many slides, so you can have one slide which shows oil. So you can save some time. Like in this slide, it shows we isolated microbes from oil field or the place where pollution was there. This is an oil field. We identified microbes using molecular biology techniques, using SEM, morphological things. Then we produce the byproducts. Then we did some, in this animation you can see this is the screening protocol. If you are working with biosurfactants, this is an example of biosurfactant research. You need to do primary screening and secondary screening. So whichever is the better microbe, potential microbe, we take it further. We optimize media, we do shake class, we do the scalar, like from 500 ml, you make it into 2 liter, and then from 2 liter, we are producing, this is an image of our 100 liter bioreactor. So we are making it in 100 liter, and now phase 3 is, we will go for scalar, into industrial scale work, which are the bioreactors. So in this bioreactor, we will make it in thousands of liters, and then we will use it for the application. So you can have, like as the writers say, a decade of SQU and your research. So this is the work of 10 years of research. So if you are in a scientific presentation, you can spend some time, you can discuss things in more detail, and here is an example of animation also. You can insert animations and you can explain all those things. So this is also one of the ways by which you can show your data without complications or without too much information in one slide, and then you have to explain it better. So as I said before, I would like to share some of the things, like this is the ribbon menu, as I said in the beginning. So you have seen how you can make words, you can write word files here, or depending on the phones, you can have an image, you can have many things, but what we need now, better than more than before, is how you can tag the videos, either from the online sources, or you can have videos here, how you can have audio files, how you can have screen presenting, because we are forced to teach online. So like here, most of the presentations, when we started in here, lockdown happened in February. So in March, everything was closed. And that was the time when semester just started. So we used to do ICT and everything, interactive teaching, using computer slides and everything. But most of the presentations were physical. Like we go to the students, they attend the class, we explain them, showing the slides and everything, and then we share the data, we show the videos and everything. But now, teaching is without physical presence. So they have to attend the class. So we were suddenly required to make slides which are interactive. So before interactive slides came, we had to put our words in the slide. Like if I can record the slide and everything, then I can share it with them, the link. But the first step was we had to put our screen recording. So we kept our audio. For every slide you speak, if you click on the button audio, there will be an icon where you can put your audio clips, or you can show some videos. 2 ways you can show videos. There are the codes. You can embed the code here. Like some of the examples are the slide for DNA polymerization, under protected marine protected areas, in a global biodiversity, wet microbes and heart disease. Like some paper says, what you eat, like our Ayurveda and our scientists were much wiser, our Rishi Munis and everyone. They used to say, you are what you eat. So our wet microbes decide how we will fight, how we will react. So now Western countries are coming with such hypotheses and everything. So this are the embedded images. If you click on it, it will open. Let's say open this. So if you click on this, for such work, you need internet connection. So like when I click on it, this is a new window. This will open here. Net is slow. I hope you can see the slide. So I kept it open before, hopefully you have one. Perfect. So there was an example of marine biodiversity. You have biology as a course in your department, in your college. So I think this another one will also be interesting for you. DNA polymer addition. So this will regarding DNA polymerization. So if you click on the link, it will open as a new window. I will not show. So I'm not sure if full. The slides are with you. So I'm just giving an example. Like as you can see, those are not my videos. Those are freely available, excellent animated videos for how to teach in the classes or students or self-learning or something. So you can use such online videos available for free for teaching and everything from internet, and you can show it to your students or you can show it into some conferences. Right? To do this, you need internet access. So if you are showing in your university or classroom teaching, it's fine. But if you are outside in some conferences, abroad or something, you may or may not have access to internet. So what you can do, you can embed such videos in your slides itself. Like I have embedded, if you click on this link will take you to YouTube. But if you don't have internet, I already embedded this image here. So I can click on this. So if I click, it will show the same video in my slide itself. So you don't need to go to internet. Here itself you can see it. Of course, the resolution and clarity will be better in a separate part, but you can embed your videos here itself. So this is a research regarding the microbes you have in your blood and the possibility of heart disease or cardiac events. So this was one of the recent papers published in 2020 on So it's talking about how your gut microbes will affect your overall health, heart health and everything. And they have prepared this video, like your bacteria. So we take this probiotics and everything, and then we go for fasting and many other things. So this is something So once again, I'm not showing it full because it's not my video and we are not here for scientific presentation, but this is just to share how you can use these for routine teaching, for your presentations, or for your research work, for your seminars, or irrespective of anything. So what is the limitation? So as it says here, only limitation is your imagination. If you can imagine it, you can find it. You can get it from internet, and there are plenty of sources available online which you can use, some of which are free to own, some of which you may have to pay the premium. Like our university has registered and purchased some of the online links and online teaching contents where such nice animated videos can be used for classroom teaching. So after normal teaching, when you are teaching in the classes or something, you can show and share such nicely depicted animated scientific videos with your students. So, and or else you can show it in your slide itself. So this is one of the way by which you can insert videos or even audios, or you can do screen recording. So let's say if I am not free to give this presentation, so what I would have done, I will record my voice, I will record everything here, and then I will share the link with your university admin. So I don't need to be present there. You can just click on the link and you can share the data or information with everybody. So many options are available, some of which may or may not be available in an audio version. In an advanced version of PowerPoint, you may have more version, like this is 2016. So it's PowerPoint 2016, then there was one more version, PowerPoint 2019. Now Microsoft has clubbed and mixed everything together, there's the Office 365. So we'll talk about more Office 365. So this is the way you can put your video, audio file, or you can do screen recording. So now let's talk about the main differences or advantages or disadvantages. Why one should go for PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides, or who can go, who can't. So some of the basic points I mentioned here, like the limited software. So as I said, PowerPoint is part of Microsoft Office 365 now. It's not sold separately, or else you have to pay money for it. But it's a package of Office 365. Keynote, it's a part of iWork Productivity Suite. So if you are using Apple MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, or even iPad, you will know about Keynote. It's a free software and it's part of iWork Suite. Google Slides are part of Google Drive Office Suite. What kind of files you can export and show in this PowerPoint? So PowerPoint is more versatile, basically. You can use different kinds of PowerPoint in Office format. You can export several other formats, images, PDF. You give it a name, you can bring anything and everything to PowerPoint. In Keynote, as usual, with the rest of the things for Apple, it's not more open for many things, but still you can have PDF, different kinds of PowerPoint files. Now it's compatible with Microsoft. You can use QuickTime, like showing videos and images, HTML files in Keynote 2009. Google Slides can allow you everything. I will say PowerPoint, PPT, PDF, images. But what kind of audio files you can import? In PowerPoint, you can bring any audio file. Like if I want to give a talk to my students, I can just put my voice. I can put my audio. So it's allowed in PowerPoint and in Keynote. But in Google Slides, only YouTube videos are allowed at the moment. They are also updating it. So for if you are using Google Slides, it's only allowed YouTube videos, not your own voice. What kind of animations and effects you can have? As usual, PowerPoint has more options. You can have enhance, emphasis, exit, you can do many kinds of animation effects and everything. In Keynote, you have around 30 different inbuilt animations and around 40 transition effects. In Slides, it's less, you have around 15 effects. Do you have offline access? So yes, you have offline access for PowerPoint. Like you don't need to be always connected to internet. You can purchase it and you can have it forever. And in Keynote, same thing. It's also available as long as the file is saved on your local device, like on your laptop or on your iPad or something. In Google Slides, it can be accessed offline using the Google Slides app. So it's a possibility. Now the main issue is cost. So you have to purchase through Microsoft PowerPoint. Or else you have to use a pirated one, which most of the guys do, but it's not safe. It's not a safe option. Keynote comes as free. When you purchase a new MacBook or MacBook Air or whatever, it comes free, or you can purchase it through Mac App Store. But it's very expensive, like you're paying a premium price for Apple hardware. Google Slides are free as a part of Google Office. You must create a Google account. That's it. Then you have access to it. So can you use PowerPoint for Mac or PC or anything? Yes, you can use PowerPoint for, it's compatible with Apple also, it's compatible with Windows system. Keynote is compatible with mainly Apple products, not PC or somewhere. And Google Slides are compatible as long as there is an internet connection. So you can use it. So it depends on the choice of hardware you are using, what you should use. If you are using Chromebook, you have to go for Google Slides. In the main conference room or meeting room, we have PowerPoint projector. So some of my colleagues, they used to show some nice videos and nice images and PowerPoint slides. So when the power will be gone, which normally happens during rainy season and everything, then you want to have access to projector, and then you are in a dilemma. So we should always remember how to teach without PowerPoint slides and projectors also, using a whiteboard or a blackboard. So that's the main disadvantage. If you end up liking these things too much and if you forget how to teach without PowerPoint, then it could be a problem. So you should have a balance of both. You should know how to teach online and as well as how to teach offline also. So I'll give you some, many shortcuts are there when you are using Microsoft PowerPoint, but this slide shows some of the basic but quite useful keyboard shortcuts when you are presenting. Like when you want to advance to the next slide, you can go for space bar to enter the space, because sometimes when you are presenting why such shortcuts are useful. When you are going for presentation, you may or may not have access to the keyboard with you, or maybe you can hang or something, or maybe you don't have the mouse. So you need to know certain basic shortcuts, such as if you enter space bar, it will go to the next slide, or N is next. So if you press N button on your keyboard, it will go to next. Then the right arrow key or enter or page down, all those things will take you to the next slide. But if you want to go for the previous slide, it's opposite. What you do, you go for backspace. If you enter the backspace, it will take you to the previous one. P is for previous. If you enter P button, it will go to the previous slide, or the back arrow or up arrow or page up, it will all take you to the previous slide. Sometimes after the conference, they may ask you go to this slide, go to this slide or something. So if you want to go to a particular slide and you may know the number, what you can do, you can write the number followed by enter. So it will directly take you to those slides. Sometimes some discussions are going on or the presentation is finished, and if you don't want to keep on showing the slides, so what you can do, you can black or animate the screen. So you can press B, like here. Like here the screen is black, so you can't see anything. If I press it again, you will come back to the screen. So screen is showing the data, but I am just making it black. You can press escape, so it's end of slideshow. You can press escape and the slideshow will go on. Or you can press F5 or shift F5 and it will start the slideshow. So these are very basic shortcuts which you may find useful when you are doing some presentations or something, and you may need to use it, some of the presentations. So this slide, what I am trying to show here, when you are done with your talk, or when you want to give additional information, or you are giving a speech about one particular scientific background, but you want to pass on the information to the audience that they should go back, and if they want to know more about your research or something, you can always put a link of your website. Like in this case, I have given two links. One of the link is the university where the research center we are working with. So if you click on the link, it will take you to the research center or research about our annual work. So if you click on it, so you can always give excuse me, this sort of connection to your link. Or if you are more forward, if you want to give access to your hard data, what you can do, you can have barcodes. So you can generate a barcode, you can store your files. Let's say here we have two files. One file is regarding 10 years of our work, of our petroleum biotechnology or UR. This is slightly old document, it was in 2019. Updated one is not shown here. But if you scan this barcode, this will give you access to the PDF file of all the information we kept in there. Or if you want to know about oil and gas research center, but you don't want to go to the website, so instead of going to the website, you can scan this barcode with your phone, and you will have access to all the PDF files of the information what we had there. So you can show some of these things like barcodes or websites or web links on your PPT slides, and they can go through it later on, or they can contact you based on this. So this is also another way by which you can share some of the further information about your work. So this is just a simple example I would like to share with you. Like this is like an exercise. So this is an example of what an oral presentation should contain for a conference. Normal scientific conferences or where you are going to present the data. And maximum allotted time is 10 to 15 minutes maximum. and start throwing everything in the slides. So how to know how many number of slides you should have. So this is just a simple example, not again rule of thumb. You have to modify based on the amount of data you have or based on what you want to emphasize more. So normally you will have a title slide, of course, everybody needs a title slide. So you don't have to spend too much time because they must have said, oh, like XYZ is going to speak about this, but then it's like go ahead and speak. So you just go through it very quickly. Then you need to show table of content. Although it's not always necessary, sometimes I don't show table of content slides. So why you need to say that I was speaking about A, B, C, you'll be speaking about it. So audience will see. So you can skip one slide if you want to. So or else you can go through quickly. You can say that these are the points which I was speaking about. Then you need to give a background and statement of the problem slide. This is important because now you are pulling the audience into your story, or you are trying to emphasize why your work is important, or why somebody should work on this. So they may or may not be aware of your work. So you give them your perspective. You give them a brief background and say statement of the problem, why this problem is there. So you have to explain the relevance, why this is what important needed. So you should not spend more than 2 or 3 slides for this. 1 or 2 is sufficient because you need more slides to show your data. But this is quite important part where you give background or introduction. You can say it by different names. But background and statement of problem is somewhat better. Then you go for results with materials and methods wherever possible. Don't show materials and methods, how you did work, why you did work, nothing. You start showing your results. Right? Wherever possible, materials and methods, how you did work, as a picture, as a graph, as a article, something. And you should not have more than 4 to 6 slides with the figures, graphs, and don't overcrowd the slide with 5 graphs or 4 graphs in the same slide. It's not easy to understand because when you have figures, when you have graphs, you need to spend more time because you have to explain. So you can have some emphasis. You can bring up the main part when you want to focus audience, that they should focus on this. So, but not more than 4 to 6 slides. Then you need to have discussion slides, which is 1 to 2 slides, where you will compare your results, you will give a conclusion, ending to your presentation with other published ones. So you have to say that I did this work, our work is better than what X, Y or Z did, or similar to what X, Y or Z did, or it's not good, it's negative, something like this. So always compare with the proper references and don't forget to cite 11 references. That's it. Then you can give 1 slide of acknowledgement. You would like to thank your colleague, somebody who helped you do your experiments, maybe your university, maybe your management, or your colleagues or whatever. And then you can have always additional backup slides, like such scientific presentations. Some of the audience, they may want to know more about particular methods or particular work or particular result or something. So you can always have backup slides. That's okay. That's not an issue. So keep in mind some time for question and answer also. So all those things we need to do it within maximum 10 to 15 minutes. So I have seen when I am judged for some of the conferences or when I go for presenting somewhere, even some of my colleagues which I go with them, they are very trouble. They are midway in results part and then they will say, sorry, 10 minutes are done. Because you are interested in showing as much as possible. So you should not show everything what you have, but you should show what is more important, what is more impactful, and then you should show it only there. So again I said, this is not a rule of thumb. You have to prepare your slides, keeping in mind the contents you have. You can have 1 slide for statement of the problem, you can have more slides for something else, you can have backup slides, you don't have, so it's entirely up to you. But in general, a slide may take somewhere between 30 to 60 seconds. You have to remember, you are not in a fast train. You don't have to do or something and then you will finish it. Because that's not comfortable to your audience or to the judge. So it should be crisp, it should be concise, and it should be sufficient enough to give message. So again, as I said, this is relevant to the conference presentation, not for PhD presentations or a keynote or something. Because then accordingly you have to change your timing or change the number of slides. If it's a PhD final presentation or if it's a registration presentation, you will be allotted 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So you can divide based on the importance, how much you have to give or how much data you have, and accordingly you need to prepare your slides. But you have to consider some of the points what we discussed before. So let's have a quick recap of what we learned today. So this is just a summary of what we did. Less is more. 20 to 25 slides maximum for 1 hour content is normally sufficient. Normally, not always again. This is just a standard way. Things can be on left, things can be on right. You can have more slides, you can have less slides, but normally having more slides will end up in trouble. And if you keep on speaking during 1 hour or something, be it technical or non-technical, then your audience will start losing the grip. So you should not give them a chance of losing the grip. Then you need to create sections. So you need to have different sections. It will help you to organize your content. Avoid clutter, don't have too many bullet points, and maximum 5 to 3 bullet points are sufficient. Then spell check. You should not lose the credibility. As I said before, it's quite embarrassing if you are in an international platform, you will speak somebody's wrong name. Speaking is still fine, but writing wrong names of some scientists or authors, and they are sitting in the audience. Or if you are saying wrong scientific names, such things are not look as good for you, for your organization, or you will lose the credibility of your work. So you should always do spell check. Then you have to use the visuals. They are quite engaging platform. And you can communicate information in a better manner, but you have to be careful what kind of visual information you are sharing and everything. It should not be too much complex, too much information there. And you have to try to find a balance. And then make it readable. Your font should be 28 to 40. These are the things we discussed. Again, it's not rule of thumb. It depends where you are presenting. If I am giving a lecture in my classroom is not very big, so the projector is small enough. But if some talk is being presented in a conference hall where hundreds of people are sitting and everything, so you need to have a balance. So try to prepare it in such a way that fonts are not so big, not so huge, and at the same time, it's not so small also. So you have to find the balance. And with some vectors, we find out. And then most important was relax. You should enjoy giving your talk. You should not be afraid of what will happen, how it's equivalent to giving an exam. You should know properly, you should prepare properly, and then go for exams. If you are not comfortable giving your talk, if you are not relaxed while giving your talk, and then you won't be able to give a correct message. So you should relax, and then you should enjoy giving your talk. If you are enjoying it, most of the time, your audience will also enjoy it, and they will understand it in a better manner. So, I would like to share some of the additional references where you can get more, better, or maybe professional tips. This is not the only information available on the internet or from scientists or somewhere. This is available and shared by most of the universities in UK and US. So, one of the good files is how to do a dynamic scientific presentation. Elsevier group has given it. They keep on updating it. You can go to the website, you can click on it, it will open as a PDF file. Some of the very well-known speakers, they prepared it for scientific presentation. Or there is SLD, Student Learning Development Center, the University of Leicester. They have also given some of the files, like how to use PowerPoint, planning an effective presentation, how to use the visual aid, how to deliver an efficient and effective presentation. These are some of the files available for day students as well as for anyone. Or you can use some of the other business PowerPoint slides, like how to use PowerPoint. Sometimes you may feel like it's very easy and you know it. But when we go for such professional help or something, we find out that there are so many ways we can make our presentation better and we can convey the message in a proper manner. And then there is this Quiz Plus, this other website. It gives you the tutorials and everything. You can have it, you can go to the website, or of course your teachers are there and will share with you. You can learn from your experiences. So basically what you have to do is you have to keep on practicing. More you practice, more things will be clear for you. And if your things are clear, then it will be always helpful to you. So with this, I would like to end the presentation here. I didn't prepare so many slides and everything because this is not a scientific or data presentation. I was planning to do around 45 minutes to 1 hour talk where you are free to ask questions and everything. So I would like to thank the university, Sultan Qaboos University, for nurturing and encouraging such scholarly activities where we can learn new things, we can share things. And I would like to share this sentence by John Dewey. He said it nicely, education is not preparation for life, but education is life itself. So you should not work for making marks or getting a job and everything. Those are the secondary things. If you will focus on education, Saraswati and all, then of course Lakshmi will come by itself. Lakshmi is needed, but it's a byproduct of Saraswati. I may be you have to keep on learning always. So if you are a lifelong student, then you will not have much problems in your life. So thank you for your kind attention. And
Thank you so much.
if you have any questions or anything.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanket Joshi, sir. So we have only like 5 or 10 minutes for question answer.
Yeah, please go ahead. If anybody has any questions or anything.
If someone have a question regarding the presentation or this lecture, they can ask. I got one question from Professor K.M. Barrow from Hansala Engineering College. Which are the tools to write indirecting on PPT during presentation in terms of screenwriting?
Screenwriting, you can go for insert. If I understood the question correctly, if you go to insert, you can bring text box. If you click on the text box, I hope you can see it here. So if you click on the text box, it will give you the option, like this text. This entire part is for the text. You can bring a slide, you can bring slide number, you can have the word art, you can have header in the footer, you can bring the text box, and once you have a text box, like in the insert, and then you bring it down. So here, to insert any text or anything related to Word, you can either bring it from the option of the ribbon menu, or you can bring it from the Word file. That option is also possible. You can bring tables from here. I prefer table to make it here on the slide rather than exporting it from a Word file or something because of same issue, same like Excel file. Like if you bring chart from another Excel, the editing will get corrupted. So if it's okay and if the resolution is good, you can save it as a picture. So same way, for text, you can bring it from this menu here, ribbon menu, in this part, text, you can have text box, you can have word art, or simple text, you can bring it from the text box.
One question from on behalf of some student to our provost, sir. If some student is using Microsoft PowerPoint during the presentation and that Microsoft PowerPoint version is not licensed, what will happen?
What gonna happen? So, this is the biggest problem. This is a business. We need to remember. Microsoft, Windows, Apple, Google, they are all business people. And we have to use such artificial intelligence and all the aids and everything. So if we don't have money, we end up using the pirated versions of those softwares. So most of the time, those softwares won't give any problem. It works fine. But if the chances of getting viruses are low, that's the only problem. And if you are going for some, especially when you are going for international presentations, and if you are opening a slide, let's say I open my slide now, and I'm using a pirated version. So the first thing what you will see on my slide will be, it will say that your PowerPoint is not activated, or your Windows is not activated, and all those things. So if you are okay with those things, then it's fine. Until and unless you have the problem of viruses. So most of the time, those things won't crash. And most of the students I know, when I was teaching in India or most of the places, they were using pirated software. Even some of my colleagues were using pirated software because I know it's quite expensive. And now, after Office 365, starting from 2021, there won't be any individual software. You have to have a license and you have to purchase per year. So you have to pay money every year, which is quite expensive. So I don't know how it will work. That's the reason people end up using this pirated versions of most of the software. So 60% to 80%, no issues. Some 10%, 20%, it can crash. That's the only issue.
I hope the student get his answer. The next question is from Dr. Bhumik Upadhyay from Law Department. Image modification is very hard in Microsoft PowerPoint. So, do you have any solution for that?
So, as I said, if you want to prepare a poster or if you want to prepare some images or something, Microsoft is as simple as very basic software. It's not a good software for image modification and everything. You should go for either Adobe or like this professional software. If you really want to modify or amplified image. For simple notification and everything, I'll show you here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanket. Now we are moving on. I hope nobody have any questions. So I request our professor to conclude this lecture and to do the thank ceremony for this.
We got more refreshed, more energetic, and got boosted up to now prepare good presentations or conferences, research proposals, and other platforms. We are sure enough that this 1 hour, 20-minute talk, the hard work, sincere efforts put forward by respected Bharat Putra, Dr. Sanket Joshi ji, will be quite beneficial for all of us. On behalf of this entire campus, we take this opportunity to thank you, sir. Sir has covered many things, all the aspects, perspectives and prospectives related to PowerPoint presentation and others, whether on Google platform or any, have been covered widely. It shows the deep understanding and deep learning of the presentation. Sir has covered the content as well as formatting, how the reference to be cited, not cited, how much time to be taken, how many slides are important to be taken, because others' time is also quite important. The font size, so all the things related to PowerPoint presentation or other formats have been covered. Those who are new to this system, because now this is our life as an academician, because this crisis, COVID has taught us many new things, and the true transformation now towards ICT is the only way out. And this talk has opened the ways and methods have been taught to you, in fact, and those who are not abreast with this system are requested to start practicing, and if any corrections are required, you make the corrections in your presentations, because now in India also online talks are being delivered by the faculty members in our university as well. From this platform, I do announce formally one request which I am launching to SQU through respected Joshi ji, that in future GGU is going to sign some MOU on certain platform for certain objectives with SQU, and that you will send the letter. Also, we are going to send a letter, and we will request Dr. Sanket ji to honor us by accepting our offer to become Emeritus Professor of GGU, and sir will be glad to share his experiences and knowledge with all of us forever. So with these words, now it is the time for the next process of the tea break is here. So I cannot say please come here to share.
I will. Thank you. Definitely. Anytime you ask for tea.
Thank you so much, sir. On
चाय पे चर्चा करेंगे हम. हमारे मोदी जी को चाय पे चर्चा करेंगे.
और गोकुल फाउंडेशन ट्रस्ट, गोकुल ग्लोबल यूनिवर्सिटी, सभी स्टाफ मेंबर्स और सभी विद्यार्थियों की तरफ से सर आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत साधुवाद. आपने इतना समय दिया, इसके लिए हम हमेशा आपके शुक्रगुजार रहेंगे, कृतज्ञ रहेंगे, और इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ जय हिंद.
जय हिंद.
Thank you so much, Honorable Professor. Now we are closing our Zoom meeting. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanket Joshi, for joining us. Thank you.